Shalom, everyone. Oh. All right, let us begin. Hello, everyone. Am I being heard? Can you hear me? All right, we've got 2 minutes to begin. All right, we're learning the Mimor in Tuf Shin Beit by the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. That was said in 1942. The Rebbe was already in America. And the Mimor is entitled BaChodesh HaShlishi, on the third month. It's talking about the giving of the Torah. And the Rebbe is asking what really was accomplished by giving the Torah. The Torah already was in the world. It says that Abraham knew about the Torah. Even more, Abraham. Oh, let me get this here. There we go. Have to be user friendly here. Abraham knew about the whole Torah, and in fact, he served God. Abraham served God way before the Torah was given. Abraham lived about 400 years before the Torah was given, a little more. So, what do we really need the Torah for? Now the Rebbe is explaining what exactly was the service of Abraham. So the Rebbe says we can see, generally, from the fact that Abraham, it said he built 2 altars to God. One altar, it says, that he built to the God that appeared to him, and the other one said he just built it to God, without any descriptions. Rabbi said, really, this is the 2 aspects of God. One aspect of God is the God that appeared to him, namely, how we can see God from the world. That God is the creator. That's called the lower name of God. And then we see that God is much above that, that he creates things that we can't possibly understand. And that's called the upper name of God. And it says even to the degree that Abraham served Hashem in this world in a way that was even better than what Hashem himself did. According to Chassidut, first of all, according to the Torah and Midrash, there's a lot of reasons given why God created the world. Chassidut always takes the idea that God created the world so that we can make God dwell here. Dir b'tachtonim. And that, of course, Abraham revealed. But what does it mean, make a dir b'tachtonim? The lowest thing that can possibly be is a human being. Why? Because a human being has the potential to go against God. Abraham realized this, and so his whole work, his whole life, was just to try to get people, human beings, to realize that there is God. That God should be recognized. But that's the reason God created the world. He created the world so that he should be recognized. So who do you think is doing a better job making God recognized? God himself or Abraham? So I figure, what type of a contest is this? It's a very lopsided contest. Abraham obviously can't do as good a job as God can, right? God creates the world. He can do anything. So he says, no, it's not so. Abraham replaced God's kindness in the world. Abraham was better at advertising God than God himself was. In the Midrash, it says that the attribute of kindness, midat chesed, complained in front of God and said, since Abraham was created, as I have nothing to do here in the world. This is why, because Abraham used his free will to serve God. Good morning. Abraham served God from free will, which is not the case in the upper worlds. There's no free will. God does whatever he wants to. There's no obstacles, there's no difficulties, there's no temptations, there's no confusion, there's no choices to be made. God reveals himself. That's it. That's called God's kindness. But Abraham's kindness is Abraham had to use his own free will. Says the Rebbe even more. And this is what we're going to get into now. I'm just making a review, a summary of what we learned. Rebbe says even more. The aspect of God's kindness sometimes gets exactly the opposite results of what God wants. What does that mean? When God gives kindness to the world, so it means he gives kindness to everybody. He creates everyone. He creates evil people. He creates good people. They're all being created. God keeps them alive. A person does a sin, he doesn't all of a sudden, ground opens up or he just disappears, God stops creating him. No, God creates everyone else. That's God's infinite kindness, infinite love, goodness. Right? That's pretty good. He says, yeah, it's pretty good, but the results are sometimes really bad. And namely, when a person does bad things and he succeeds and he sees that he's still alive, so he says, what do I need this Torah and this mitzvahs for? I'm succeeding. I'm doing a good job. And here I feel good. Those religious people, they always have to control themselves and hold themselves back, and they can't do what they want to. That's what type of a life is that? I'm just doing whatever I want. Right? I do it my way, anything I want to do, and I'm succeeding. And that's really the way that God creates the world, in such a way that a person can do all sorts of sins and he can succeed. And on the other hand, we see that there's a lot of righteous people that they don't succeed so much, that there's difficulties, the Holocaust and inquisitions and all sorts of terrible things that happen. So we can see sometimes, like it says in Pirkei Avos, it's not in our ability to understand not the success of the evil people or the suffering of the righteous people. We don't understand. So let's not talk about the suffering part of it. Let's just talk about the positive part of it. The people do sins and they succeed. And the Rebbe is going to go into this now. He says, Abraham wasn't that way. Abraham, he would do good to people. He was kind, and he did it from his own free will. But on the other hand, he forced people to recognize that it was all coming from God. Forced people. So Abraham, he was better, so to speak, his kindness was better than God's kindness. We are now on Gimel. Very good, Gimel. And this is Shegadla, that it was greater. Mirat Chesed Avram, the kindness of Abraham, Abraham's aspect of kindness was greater. The Gabi Mirat Chesed, more than the kindness of Atzilut. Atzilut is another name for God, the revelation of God. Abraham's kindness was better than God's kindness. Delavad Zot, and not only that, Mash and Mirat Chesed, that the aspect of this Chesed of Atzilut, or Netzal, is what we call a light of God, but it was an emanation of God. Mirata Chesed Avram, and the aspect of the kindness of Abraham is Koach, it's a power. The Madregat Neshama, it comes from the soul. Which is higher? The Jewish soul, or what we call the aspects of God? Says the Rebbe, Chesed Atzilus, this kindness of Atzilut, this is, I'm sorry, the Neshama. The Neshama, the third line. The Neshama is above Mina Etzalim Shalamayla. The Jewish soul in its root is higher than this higher level, even the level of Atzilut, all the godly emanations that are from, that they're coming from God. All these godly emanations it's godly, it's infinite, but it's not as high as the Jewish soul. So Abraham, by using his free will, he touched on the essence of the Jewish soul. It's a higher source. It's a higher source, so to speak, than the kindness that God reveals from this world of Atzilut. Hine levadzo. Not only that, Hari hashpa the chesed Atzilut, this giving over of this kindness of God, kishahaya gam l'roim, it comes also to the evil people. Hine lozu bilvad. Not only that, shehashpa ino poelet bahem, that it does not have an effect on them, the intended effect on them. Like we say, why did God create the world? So that everyone in the world will recognize God. And what happens by God giving kindness? That's one of the aspects of God, recognizing God is infinitely kind. By God showing his infinite kindness to the world, that has exactly the opposite effect. Liyot Eino poelet bohem liyot tov. It doesn't affect these people that they should become better. Ela adarabba, but exactly the opposite. Goremet lahem yerida Rahman Islan. It causes them a big descent. Midechi el dechi, getting worse and worse. Right? It's almost like, say, take all the criminals that are in the jails, and then the mayor of the town or whatever, the governor says, listen, we realize that the reason you did all these bad things was because you're antisocial, that you think everybody hates you, you think the world is evil, and you just want to repay evil with evil. You want to get them before they get you. Well, I want to show you it's not so. The world is really a good place. And just to prove it, I'm freeing all of you. All of you. I'm freeing all of you, and I give everybody $10,000 to show that man is really good. The world is good. Life is good. But what's going to happen? What's happening now? That's what's going to happen. Like we can see clearly, Bativa b'nei Adam, and the nature of people. The kasher mitparnasim, that when people make a livelihood, but tzimtzum, very, how do you say, in a very small way, right? They don't make much of a living. They have to work hard and not make much money. Oh, afilu berevach, or even if people make money, they do make money, but lefi erkam, it's according to their level, their ability. Hine as shomrim Torah b'mitzvos. Then we see the Jews, they do Torah and they do the commandments. They realize that what they have is either an amazing gift, or they realize that the little bit that they have is sufficient. The physical is not the main thing. Umidnagim, then they act properly. Banhagatova, liyod b'seviva shel b'nei Torah, and they're in the way. They'll try to be near Torah people and Yirat Elokim, and people that fear God. Now you have to realize the Rebbe is saying this in America. America was a very big problem. If you compare the Jews in America to the Jews, let's say, in Europe and Russia, so the Jews in America and Russia, generally speaking, they didn't have that much money. They weren't that good off. And the ones that did have a lot of money, that they were good off, is a lot of times it caused them, how do you say, to be distant a little bit from God. But when they came to America, then for sure, they came to America and they realized that if they they worked on Shabbos, they would make more money. And they did. And it worked. And that if they didn't work on Shabbos, then there's a lot of jobs that they wouldn't get hired at. So what are they supposed to do? And if they want to keep kosher, they have to go far away to find a good kosher butcher, to find a good. It's not easy. You have to pay money. So the people that have a little bit of money, or at least what they give, the money that they earn it according to their ability, according to this. So they managed. They had families of 5 children, 10 children. And the families that they threw off Torah and mitzvahs, they threw it off. So they had families of 2 children. That's enough. But they lived good. They had nice big houses. They got along with everybody else. Right? There was huge reform synagogues with this. So we see that sometimes the more plenty that a person has, and exactly the opposite, the plenty of America, that's what said America is different. People said America is different. If you take the same Jew and you give him a lot of money, ba'ashirus, harchava, hene az midrachkim misviva shel b'nei Torah. Then they keep away from people who learn Torah. V'yirei Elokim. It says v'tafesh libam, and v'tafesh kechelev libam. Their hearts become covered like with fat. Umitrachkim and umitkarvim lekofrim uporkim. I think this is a mistaken spelling. Uporkim. They came close to those people who deny God and cast off in a yoke. They do what they want. Mizman zaman yordim. They go down Rahman Islam dechi el dechi to lower and lower levels. I'll tell you a joke. That there were 2, how money affects a person. There were 2 friends, Jewish guys, old Jewish guys. They lived where in the Bronx, and they bought together a lottery ticket. The way that it worked was that they would make the lottery in the nighttime, then would publish the number in the morning. Well, it happened to be that they made the lottery in the nighttime. And one of these two friends, one was Yankel and the other one was Moshe, the two old men. So Yankel had a friend that worked in the lottery, and he gave him the number that he bought. He said, listen, if this number comes up, do me a favor, call me up. So sure enough, 2 o'clock in the morning, Yankel gets a phone call, wakes up. It's his friend from the lottery office, and he says, Yankel, you got good news. Well, I don't believe it, really. You're choking me. He says, no, listen, I can't talk loud. You won. Your number was just called. Wow, how much is it? He says, how much is it? Get ready. He says, $60 million. Wow, $60 million. That's really great. Thanks a lot. Hangs up the phone. Yankel puts on his pants over his pajamas, runs to Moshe's house, 3 o'clock in the morning, knocks on his door. Moshe, wake up. Moshe opens up the door, right? He's still in his pajamas. Yankel, what happened? What do you want? Yankel says, listen, Moshe, you won't believe it. We won $60 million. We won the lottery. $60 million. I get 30, you get 30, $30 million. Moshe says, listen, get out of here or I'll call the police. If you bother me again, I'm going to have you put in jail. Yankel says to Moshe, what happened? What are you yelling at me like that? What are you yelling? Says, mainly you come and you wake up a person at 3 o'clock in the morning, a regular person, but I'm a millionaire. What are you waking me up at 3 o'clock in the morning for? In other words, he just heard that he has all this money. All of a sudden, his whole being just changed. Oh, it's a joke, but the fact is a joke based on fact. A person gets money, he gets crazy. Says the Rebbe, where does the money come from? It comes from God. And sometimes a person gets money and he can go from level lower and lower and lower. Success sometimes drives people crazy. Ovrim Rakal is heroes. First of all, the person, he's a religious person. He starts out good, but then he gets a little bit easy, right? He starts to think, right, maybe I'm the boss. First of all, he starts to be not to be so careful, begadorim b'sayagim. Starts to be not so careful in the customs, the isur v'heter, and things that are forbidden and permissible. Mishtamshim b'kol minei kolos, and then he starts to look for leniencies, things that to be lenient. You have to have a long beard. You have to wear your tzitzis. You have to have tzitzis, maybe, you know. Then he starts praying, starts to be a little bit shorter in the mornings, a little bit shorter. And then he can come down to the point where he actually does forbidden things, looks at forbidden things, listens to. First of all, it's sort of like, accidental, just for a couple seconds. Until a person finally says, listen, I realize I can do what I want to and nothing happens to me. You know what? Maybe this whole thing is a big bluff. And suddenly he starts to become, chutzpah. For ovrim al isurim. And he can transgress on really forbidden things. V'nasem kafui tova, and the person suddenly becomes an ingrate to Hashem, l'makom, to God. Umachishim ve'ezra shel ma'ala, and he's saying, 1 second, I didn't win this because God blessed me. Somebody has to win. So it happened to be me. And you know what? The reason I won, because I deserve it. Ume'izim paneim lomar kochi v'otzim yadi aseh l'zachayel hazeh. My power, my hand, made me all this success. I remember it was maybe the ultimate terrible example was in the 6-Day War. The 6-Day War, everybody saw, the whole world saw. I was not even religious back then, but I remember what happened, and I was in retrospect. I was told, so the whole world went upside down. When the Jews won the 6-Day War, everybody, it was just everybody, all the Arabs, they were just going crazy. And the Jews, on the other hand, instead of saying, listen, it's a great miracle from God, everyone was saying it's a great miracle from God, and the Jews are the people of God, and we see the Lord help them. And it was impossible that such a small nation should win. And the Jews said, no, it was not from God. It was, first of all, we're not really a conquering nation. We'll give everything back. And second of all, it was our Air Force. We had a really, really good Air Force, and our backs were to the wall. And, that's what happens when and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera, until finally they just took all the excitement out because they won. They won. If God forbid they wouldn't have won, so they cried out to God, help us. So sometimes when God gives good things, as people take it in exactly the wrong way. They say that my power, it made me all this success. And they become very haughty with their riches and their success. Ad shatu b'shamayim piem, that they put against heaven their mouths, the daber gava, to speak on very, very high things, be'inyanim she'ein lahem kol musag, in matters that they have no intention whatsoever. Remember when they had in Israel, they passed this law of who was a Jew. So they passed a law that anybody can be a Jew. If a Reform rabbi says you're a Jew, if your father says if your father was a Jew, you're a Jew. Anybody can be a Jew. Anybody, you have a, and the Rebbe, I remember the Rebbe said they're making war against God. They're making war against God himself. And that's what it was, because they were successful and they could do what they wanted. So therefore they could, says the Rebbe, ki anashim pshutim hema, because the fact of the matter is when it comes to matters of Judaism, they are very simple people. I mean, a doctor that knew as much about Judaism as these people know, a doctor that knows as little about medicine as these people know about Judaism, he would never go to a doctor like that. He would lose his license. But these people, they don't have to know anything. Everybody's an expert about Judaism. Everybody is an expert. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to read any books. I know I'm a Jew also. I'm also a Jew. A Jew, I should know. And what's the proof? Here I am. I'm talking. If I'm talking, it means that I must know what I am. And I'm a Jew. It says, really, the fact of the matter is these people have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, they're not guilty. You can't hold a person guilty. He thinks that this is really right, that every Jew has a right to say whatever he wants to. And he can say whatever he wants to about Judaism. He would never open up his mouth about medicine or about the nuclear science, nuclear physics. He would never open, doesn't know anything about it. But Judaism, doesn't know anything, talks about, he's a big expert, he can philosophize, he write books about it. Asher and binos them, people, they have no understanding whatsoever. The previous Rebbe, when he came to America, that was the situation. Reform Judaism was very strong, and these people, they didn't know Shabbos, no tefillin, okay, a person doesn't want to keep Shabbos, I can understand, but this is Judaism, making a claim that this is the way it's supposed to be. Right? If a person could say, okay, you do what you want, I'll do what I want. No, what I'm doing is right. You want to live in the dark, live in the dark. So it says the Rebbe, why? Because of success. This is all comes from God's kindness. They don't realize that it's only because of God's blessing and that God's divine, intention that they became rich. These people can be very wise in their own eyes. They can go in the free heart and have pleasure in all the things in the world. Like an animal that does whatever he wants to. And only matters of the physical. An imaginary, importance and honor. And these people, it doesn't come up in their mind at all. I shall call Oshram me'afahu, that all of their riches that they have are really made of nothing. I shall be in Laila Yavarakal. One night, everything can be lost. Without remaining anything. And these people saw that that's what happened in Nazi Germany, Hashem Yishmor. Right? A person today was rich, all of a sudden the next day he didn't have anything. He was fighting for his life, trying to do anything to get out of the place, right? Just to leave all his riches behind, right? Get out as fast as he can, to run away from everything that he has, and people didn't succeed. So people, you can see that, good, it's wonderful to be rich, and everyone's supposed to be rich, but don't think you can be rich, but the riches shouldn't own you. You have to own the riches. What is the you? The you is a Jew. The Rebbe said everyone's supposed to be rich. So therefore, the kindness of God can have the exact opposite effect that God wants, which is not the case. Avram, that even though Shagam, he must be a tov, that Abraham did good even to the evil people, Kamola Tovim, and God, and Abraham also was self-sacrificing, Nafshem Mamish, and he was self-sacrificing to even pray for the evil people, for the bad people, and the sinners of Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember the story of Sodom and Gomorrah? Maybe there's 50 people, maybe there's 40. Please, God, maybe there's 45, maybe it was 40. Please, God, save Sodom. And the Sodom and Gomorrah was really bad news. I mean, these people were really, sadistic people, that they were the murderers. And nevertheless, Abraham prayed for them. He said, maybe, listen, God, there's a couple of tzaddikim. Maybe they can, these people are doing what they're doing because they're unaware. They've been swept away. Really, everybody in essence is good. That's what Abraham was saying. And he prayed for the evil people. In the end, there was no hope for them. הנה אם זה הרי גוף ועצם השפוע חסד נותן כוח ועוז בהרועים אשר הם עצמם יהפכו להיות טובים. But Abraham, he did good to the bad people. He gave them food, but that was in order to inspire them to change their ways and to do good. We see this something similar like this to the Rebbe. There's a lot of well-known stories. If somebody came by the Rebbe, this is the father of Simon Jacobson. He was the Gershon Ber Jacobson. He brought some big communist writer. I think I told the story. The man was a leftist, communist, anti-religious, and he brought him in front of the Rebbe because he told him the Rebbe is an interesting person. And he went in front of the Rebbe, and he saw, I told you this story before. In any case, the Rebbe said, I read your column. And he said, what? He said, yes, you're an excellent writer. You're really an excellent writer. He said, you read my column? I write exactly the opposite of what you think. And the Rebbe said, listen, if I would read only what I think, people that agree with what I think, I would read very little. And the Rebbe treated him nicely. And he didn't say, listen, you better put on tefillin, you're going to burn in hell. He treated him nicely. And it said that it had an effect on the person. The person didn't change, but he changed his whole attitude toward God and toward Judaism and toward Hashem. I think we have to remember one very important point. And the point we have to remember is that the reason that we are religious, that we believe in God, is because God really does exist. That's the fact. And God really, you can believe in him or not. You have your, it's like, believing you have a grandmother or not, but you have a grandmother. You can believe in God or not, but the fact is that God really does exist. The fact is that God is really creating us. That's the fact. And the fact is that God is giving us the biggest gift of all, and that's responsibility. That's the fact. God is not just some person sitting up in the sky. And God really does care what we do, and God really does react to what we do. And that's what Abraham realized. He realized this fact. Okay, now the question though is how did Abraham know what to do? That's the Torah. And the Torah was only given 400 years after Abraham. It says that Abraham realized it before the Torah was given. He was so devoted that God revealed to him what you're supposed to do with your arms, with your legs, with this, how you're supposed to treat other people. Shekal Zeh, Abraham's main thing was to do good to people in order to change them, to make them realize the fact that they're creations and that they have an obligation, or if you want to call it an obligation, they have an opportunity to be partners with their creator. Shekal Zeh, that all that Abraham did, good to people, Hu lifi she'avodat Avram, because the service of Avram was latik at atzmo mikolin in gashmit, that Abraham removed himself from any physical or personal considerations, v'lasotam mirkav le'elokut, and to make the whole world a vessel for godliness. In other words, instead of doing with the world what he wanted, he did with the world what God wants. That's the main thing here, is the world. How important this physical world is, to do with this physical world and use it in a happy and a blessed and a holy way. That's what Abraham realized. He was the first person to realize this. That's what it says, Vayal Avram Mitzrayim. That's what it says, that Abraham went up from Egypt, Liyod, because Abraham, Hu Sha'alam Meitzarim, that Abraham went up from Egypt. The word from Egypt means limitations. That Abraham, he moved up. He moved his consciousness away from all the limitations of the world, all the selfish considerations of this world, and also the selfish considerations of the spiritual world. Avram Avinu, he removed himself from any selfish considerations of this world, even though the fact is that nature that the creation, this world, is godliness. Avahu elokus hamustar. But the world, true, it's a creation, and everything in the creation is there for a purpose, and that purpose is called godliness. And this godliness is there in everything in the world, but it's concealed. That God, so to speak, clothed himself and concealed himself in nature. For Avram, he's skilled, but Avram contemplated and he realized, lahakir at the emet, to reveal and recognize the truth. Shehateva, that nature, very good, we're on the top of the page, teva, that nature itself, hu elokus, that nature itself is godliness, and that God has a plan for nature. It's not just you can do whatever your nature is and say that this is what God wants. God has a plan. There's something deeper hidden inside of the world, inside of nature. Nature is godliness. Abraham was the first to realize this. And then God revealed himself to him. And then Abraham went from level to level. Now, this is also a thing that happens to us also, is that if a person really devotes himself to the truth, as Hashem helps him. And so it was also with Abraham. That Abraham devoted himself so much to the truth that Hashem helped him. And Hashem revealed himself to him. And this goes to each and every one of us in our personal lives. Hashem cares about us individually. A person shouldn't say, who am I? What do you mean, who am I? First of all, you're a human being. And God helps every human being. Racham aval kol masav. But even more, you're a Jew. A Jew is not, in addition to being a human being, is every Jew is the son of God. Son of God. God really cares. So we shouldn't be nervous, and we shouldn't be anxious, and we shouldn't be depressed. God is with us. But what? We have to open ourselves to him. And that's what Abraham did. Abraham realized that the whole world has a purpose to it. And he realized that in order to realize this purpose, he had to devote himself to the purpose, devote himself to God. And then God revealed himself and told him what he wanted him to do. And then finally, Abraham built an altar, L'Hashem Nireh, to this God that appeared to him. It was because of his work as God reacted and appeared to him. And so it will be to us. But Abraham, this altar, this revelation that Abraham got, so Abraham built what's called an altar to this aspect of God that appeared to him. Namely, Shu Makar La'olmim Diskalim, the source of all the revealed worlds. All this amazing world, Abraham realized it's all here for a purpose. Bezui Elias Avram, that's what it means that Avram went from Egypt. Al Yedei Yetzia Mea Mitzrayim, Avram left Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim means the limitations, the limited outlook that people have in the world, the selfish outlook that people have in the world. The Gavulim de'enyane olam hazeh, liot haloch v'naso anegba. That Avram, it said that he traveled to the south. Shehu Sfirat HaChesed, this is adding in the aspect of God's kindness, embodying God's kindness and love. Yadua, and it's known that Chesed, this aspect of Chesed, of love, he who is Sheruta da Alma Ilah. The word Sheruta means two things. It means service, and it also means the beginning. Love is the beginning and the service of the upper worlds. Amika utamira, which is deep and concealed, ad raza de Ein Sof, to the secret of Ein Sof. Pirish, what does it mean? Al mi'ilam. What does it mean that chesed, that love is the door that opens up the upper worlds? When it says that it's the door that opens up to the upper worlds, just give me one moment, please. I just want one moment break. Okay, love. Love, it says that love, here it says chesed. Chesed is God's love, God's kindness, but God's love. Love is the beginning of the service of the upper Shiruta, the Almi Eloah, of the upper world, which is deep and hidden. Until the secret of Ein Sof. What is this upper world? This is talking the language of the Zohar. What does it mean, the upper world? Love is the door to the upper world. This is what's called Sfirat Habina. This is what is called the aspect of God's Bina, which is understanding. The Sfirot HaChesed and Sfirat Habina. That's what's called the upper world. Sfirat HaChesed, this aspect of God's love, even though it is, I'll explain all this, even though it is what's called the 6 directions of Zer Anpin, of God's small faces. This is the first shemekabelet, that it receives me'alma iloah, from the upper worlds. Okay, shiruta means the beginning, and it also means the service. Well, let's see. Let's look at first of all, the 10 sfirot. The 10 sfirot of God. In general, it's like a human body. God made man in his image. Man has a head and a body. Personality-wise, we have intellect and we have emotions. The intellect is more in the head, and the emotions are more in the heart, in the body. So it explains. The head is, generally speaking, Chachma, Bina, Dad, or Keter, Chachma, and Bina. It doesn't make any difference. We'll not discuss why now. The Keter, Chachma, and Bina, right? What's it called? The crown, and God's wisdom, and God's understanding. Now, these are God's aspects. These are God. So really, we don't understand really what we're talking about here. But because we have these aspects and we're created in God's image, so a little bit we can sort of get a handle on this. That's what's called Jacob's ladder, going from below to above. All these sfirot and these ideas that we are created in God's image, and so from ourselves we can sort of have a little bit of an idea what it means, God's kindness and God's power and God. That's the ladder that goes up. Okay. And so all these emotions of God, that's a lower. God also has emotions. God's emotions, that begins with love. Coming down from the top. Begins with love, then there's power, and there's beauty, love. Where does this come from? It comes from God's intellect. Same thing like with us. Right? What our intellect gives birth to our emotions. Right? I tell you here, I'm giving you a present. It's a diamond worth $2 million. Oh, you get excited. Somebody comes up to you and says, that diamond is a fake. Well, now you're not excited about it. Somebody overcomes and says, that guy who told you the diamond is a fake, he is a fake. The diamond is really worth money. You get excited. In other words, it's all going on in your mind, but however is in your mind, that's what your heart gets excited about. So the mind controls the emotions. Same is by God. The upper worlds by God, the hidden worlds, that's what's called God's intellect. Especially that's the Torah, intellect. The worlds, that's more God's emotions. That's why God created the world in 6 days. That corresponds to the 6 emotions, and Malchut is like Shabbat, 6 days. Okay, let's go back again. Abraham replaced God's kindness. Abraham replaced God's kindness in this world. God's kindness did not convince anybody that God exists. Abraham's kindness did convince people that God exists. So that's what it's called, the beginning of the upper worlds, deep and concealed, until the secret of Ein Sof. What is this upper world? The upper world is the world Bina. That's God's understanding. Chesed, which is God's love. Even though it's one of the emotions, Zer Anpin is another name for God's emotions, small faces. Of God's emotions, even though it's the top of the, it's one of the aspects of God's emotions, but nevertheless, and the emotions are far from God's intellect, but because it is the highest of the emotions of God, mekabelet mi'alma iloah. Therefore, love receives from the upper worlds. Love, this is the emotion of love by God, and also the emotion of love from us, especially loving God or loving people or loving the world because God loves the world. This is the beginning of the lower worlds, and this is the connection to the upper worlds. Therefore, it receives from the upper worlds bina. Keri'ita bezoar, like it says in the Zohar, it melech le'ela, there is a king from above, raza the kodshi kadoshim, which is the secret of the Holy of Holies. The Kohen mishamesh tatoi. There's a king, and then there's the priest that serves under the king. Who is the priest? The priest is raza the or kadma. The king is God. The priest is a secret of what's called the primordial light, the light that comes out. Kod kadoshim, this idea of the Holy of Holies, and this is the aspect of bina, like we said, God's intellect. Or kadma, this first light that comes out, this is the spirit of chesed, this is the aspect of God's kindness, love. So it was the first emotion to emanate from God's essence, chachma and bina, is love. That's God is the king, and the Kohen, the priest, in this case we're talking about, is God's love. Because the Kohen, the priest, in Judaism, the Kohen, what's the idea of the priest in Judaism? In Judaism, the main thing of the priest was, true, they made the sacrifices, but the main thing of the priest was to bless. To bless. And the blessing that they give, if you've ever seen, the Kohanim, it's a commandment for the Kohanim to bless the people. And on a commandment, you make a blessing. So they make a blessing before they bless the people. They make a blessing. Now, we have sometimes every prayer, especially the morning prayer. There is the blessing of the Kohanim. Kohan, if he wants to, he can go up in front of everybody and can bless them. Before he does, he makes a blessing. He makes a blessing on the blessing that he makes. What's the blessing that he makes? Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'kedushato shel Aaron. Thank you, God, you, the King of the universe, that you made us holy. Kohen is saying this, with the holiness of Aaron. And you commanded us to bless the Jewish people with love. You command us to bless your people with love. The Kohen's main thing is love. Mishamish b'kodshei kadoshim. So therefore, this aspect of God's love, which comes through the Kohanim, this is the first revelation of God's intellect, which another name for that is the Holy of Holies. Lochi, and therefore, Nikra Sheruta, the Alma Diloa, therefore it is called the beginning and also the service of the upper worlds. The Al Yadei Shirut, by means of the service that the Kohen does, loving people, Nimshechet Hashpa Mi'al Mi'aloah, it brings a blessing from the upper worlds. We say, Samoa Shemiel Ben Israel V'ani Avorachem. It says, the Kohanim, they put my name on the Jewish people, and God said, and then I will bless them. Some means I just bless the Kohanim, they'll bless the people, but I will bless them. The Al Yadei Hamshachazu, the by means of the Kohanim, blessing the Jewish people. We're going to see that was what Abraham did. Nase kafi mahut or animshach. This draws down from the essence of the light that the Kohen himself blesses. So the Kohen blesses the people, but then God also gives an extra blessing. When the Kohanim bless, then God blesses. So that's one of the things of the Kohanim is, if God already blesses, the blessings are in God's hands. How can it be? Because the Kohen, they speed up the blessing. They make the blessing come down, but then God himself reacts. God himself. Does that make any sense? Well, it makes also no sense that God cares what we do. God feeds all the protozoas and all the bugs. This is also doesn't make any sense, but that's the fact. That's what it says. That's what it means that it says that God will divide Aaron off from everybody and make him holy of holies. Because Aaron, he's the Kohen. He's the aspect of God's love. This is the aspect that Abraham embodied. Abraham, of course, was way before Aaron. And where did Aaron serve? He served in the Holy of Holies. To draw down from there, Giloi, or reveal light in the worlds. By means of his service, Tamshacha, The Aaron Atzmo, Aaron himself, he became to this level of Holy of Holies. He also became holy himself. So what are we saying? Let's take it in simple language. By us loving other Jews and blessing, then that changes us to be the source of the blessing that we're given. And that's what Abraham realized, that by him loving others, as he drew down the love of God for others into the Almei law, that the upper worlds actually came into this physical world. That's the whole idea of why the world was created. That was the way it was before Adam ate from the tree. The world was called Gan Eden. What does it mean, Gan Eden? We could see the truth. We could see what our human being really is. Our potential was revealed. In Al Yidei Avodah, so by means of Abraham's service, he drew down Giloi the Shiruta the Almei law. He revealed the beginning of the upper worlds and also the service of the upper worlds into this physical world. And by Abraham doing it, and the same thing when we do it, when we are kind and give God's kindness to others, but on the other hand, we do it with a purpose, namely that others should realize there's a creator. Who what's more than Abraham himself, Nichlal b'medregazu, he himself got included in this level of chesed, of atzilut. He himself embodied the love of God in the world. But and even more, b'mayil yona, even higher than just the way it is in what's called the world of atzilut, God's revealed kindness in the world. How it is in God's essence, this world of atzilut that Abraham revealed in the world by means of the service, and that Aaron revealed in the world. After all, it's just an emanation of God. God himself has this infinite love. It's just expressed through this world of atzilut. What exactly we're talking about, I mean, this is incredible. But on the other hand, we're saying that it is God's essence. God really exists and creates all existence, creates all spiritual. This is only the lower aspect of God. Then that can reach to the higher aspect of God, to the essence of God, to reveal in the world. So Abraham revealed that he can reverse this whole chain of selfishness in the world and bring everyone back to feeling the goodness and the wonder and the amazing love of the Creator in this world. That was Abraham's job, and that's our job. And now, let's not forget that Rebbe's explaining all this, what Abraham did, just to strengthen his question. If so, what do we need the Torah for? If Abraham knew all this before the Torah was given, so why did God have to give the Torah? As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Thank you very much. And now we will take a 2-minute break.
Can you pass recording over to me?
What? I don't hear you.
Can you pass recording over to
me? I don't
me?
hear you. 1 second. 1 minute. 1 minute. Here we go. Spiegel. There we go. Oh, you hear me?
Can you pass recording over to me?
No, you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Do you hear me?
I hear you. Yes.
I don't hear you.
Does anybody hear me?
I'm not hearing
Yeah,
you.
we hear you. I hear you.
We hear you. It is definitely you.
Okay, everybody hears me but you.
Oh, maybe my speaker isn't working. 1 second.
Oh,
1 second. 1 second. It's my speakers.
Okay.
My speakers are not working. That's why. 1 second. 1 second. Here we go. Hello?
I hear you.
There we go. Now I hear you.
Okay, can you pass record over to me?
Yes, I will.
And also, if you can stop your recording and then maybe restart it, it'll make it easier when you upload it so that I can download it. Okay. It'll make it a smaller file.
Right now, I'm allowing you to record.
Okay.
You're also recording what there was previously also?
No. You recorded it. Okay, You're going to have to upload it. I'll download it. I'll upload it.
Okay, so I'm going to stop this meeting?
Yeah. No, don't stop the meeting. Just whatever you're doing, continue. And then at the end, you'll upload it to YouTube, to your...
And you'll edit it. Because what I upload is going to be the whole, it's going to be the whole thing. Okay.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to cut it into 2 parts.
Yes.
The first part ends now. So this way you don't have to upload so much.
Okay. So you can see here, I'm making the sign here. This is where everything new recording. All right, here we are. We're now on Likutei Sichas Gimel. We're finishing, with God's help, we're finishing this Sicha about the international dateline, the Rebbe's unusual, unique way of explaining, where did I put this book here? Way of explaining what happens when a Jew goes across the international dateline, and here it is, and he is counting the Omer. As is known, when you go across the international dateline, either you jump one date forward, or you can jump one date backward. In other words, in the place where you are, if it's, let's say, the 5th day of Sivan, you jump to one way, it could be the 4th day of Sivan, because the international dateline changes the date. Or the other way, if you go the other way, if you're on the 5th day of Sivan, you jump to the other day, it's the 6th day of Sivan. It's the holiday of Shavuot, right? Or is it the holiday of Shavuot? So that's what the Rebbe says.
What are we learning?
That's what the Rebbe says. The holiday of Shavuot has absolutely nothing to do with the date. The holiday of Shavuot only deals with your counting of the Omer, Sfirat the Omer. That's really when the holiday of Shavuot is. True, everybody makes it on the 6th day of Sivan. That's the day that the Torah was given. But in fact, the holiday of Shavuot really comes when you finish your counting of the Omer. You count Sheva Shavuot, and that's when you make the holiday of Shavuot.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm using my handy Omer counter.
Yes.
From Chabad, and I'm on the, let's say, 22nd day or 26th day. I cross the line, going, I guess, backwards. I do the 26th day 2 times.
Okay, so that's the point. The Rebbe says, no, you count this Omer, you have absolutely nothing to do with the international dateline. Absolutely nothing. You count the days from your Passover, right? At the day after Passover, you start counting the Omer, right? According to the days that you're counting, you keep counting.
Now, the place where I find myself.
What does change when you go over the international dateline? The date. The date changes. Okay? That's all the change.
Sounds like higher mathematics.
So what the Rebbe is saying, it's not really higher mathematics, because it's very simple. When a person goes over the international dateline, the date changes. That's why the international dateline is there.
But on both sides of the dateline, so if I go backwards one day, like you said, I'm on 27. Are they going to be on 26?
That's right. Or everybody else, no.
Now, I might find myself in a place where I'm doing Shavuos a day before, a day after everybody else.
That's right. That's what he says. That's what he says. That's exactly the Rebbe's point. Okay, why is the Rebbe going into this? And this book is not a law book. I mean, the Rebbe is not coming to say laws. The Rebbe used to a lot of times, he used to direct legal questions, like to Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, to other great poskim. Because the Rebbe said, my job is not to decide laws. That's not his thing, to decide laws. The Rebbe's job is to get people ready for Mashiach. But here we see that there's a very deep spiritual message in this idea of counting the Omer and the date, that they don't have to be the same thing. So let's see, let's go up to where we are. I think we're on Hey. Huh?
Before, hello?
Yes, question, yes.
Before you said that the Rebbe said that you wanted everyone to be rich, this is only for the Jews?
Especially according to the Jews, yes.
But this is only applied for the Jews, he said it for?
The Rebbe is speaking to the Jews. Listen, ideally, it's supposed to be that the world is filled with good and nothing is lacking for anyone in the world, Jews and non-Jews. That's the idea of Mashiach. Mashiach is supposed to be, non-Jews are also supposed to serve God. Their goal is different than of the Jews. They also serve God. Everyone is supposed to serve God. How do we say an Aleinu every day? Look at what it says in English. In English, every tongue will swear to you, God. Every knee will bend. All the evil people will turn to you. Yifnu elecha kol rishei oretz. We say it 3 times a day in Aleinu. Right? Ideally, every yakiru v'yedu kol yeshvei tevel. The Rambam says in the end, "V'avdu kulam shechem echad." The whole world will serve God as one group. It says one shoulder, but that doesn't mean shoulder. One group, everyone will. So all the world will be directed only to serving God. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean to serving God? Everybody's going to walk around with these sort of, no pupils in their eyes, just this sort of glazy look, and they're just, bumping into each other like people with lobotomies or something, and they have no personalities. Exactly the opposite. God creates our personalities and God creates our potentials, and people don't realize them. People are so trapped up. I mean, that was one of the big.
Is he gonna give a story?
The story will be after. Another 20 minutes, I'll give the story. Okay? That was one of the big selling points, and it was of communism. Communism, right? Karl Marx, those people, what were they saying? As long as a person is worried about making a living, he can't really express himself. He's not free. And so they concluded that the rich people are making every effort that they can to keep the poor people poor, so that they have to work all the time just for bread. And therefore they're servants, they're slaves. The whole world is slaves. We have to free the world. The proletariat has to rise up, and we have to make a war. Okay, it was very stupid what they had to say, but the point was a very convincing one. And the point is that as long as a person is concerned with physical considerations, especially making a living, eating, and they're having a house, he's not free to do anything else. So in the future, it's going to be the whole world, everyone in the world. It won't have any physical problems. There'll be food enough for everybody. There won't be any wars. There won't be any addictions. There won't be diseases. There won't be these things. The world can get along really good without these things, without addictions and wars and aggression and all these things. These are totally not necessary for anybody in the world, right? The people that it is necessary for them, I don't think that those people will survive. Those are people who are just evil people and destructive people. I don't think that there's that many of them in the world. There is such a thing. Amalek, it says there. But the idea is, yes, every human being will have all of his needs. It was the promise of communism, right? Communism, in a way, it really succeeded. It made everybody equal. It made everybody equally poor, and nobody had anything. Okay, let's go. Like it says in the Torah, this is what what we're trying to say, is that the holiday, wait, we're on hay. I'm sorry, you're right. Hey, let's go, there we go. Ready, we're reading the Yiddish. Let me get a little closer here. Like it says in the Torah, is there Yom Tov, the Yom Tov of Shavuos, nit verbunden, is not connected necessarily with the gevesa tug in any month in the year. Look in the Torah, you'll see it doesn't say that on the 6th day of Sivan you have to make a holiday. It doesn't say. The holiday of Shavuot, it's in this week's portion. Read this week's portion. The holiday of Shavuot comes after you count 7 complete weeks. The day after that, the 50th day, Chag HaShavuot tasu lachem. It says the holiday. Therefore, Chag HaShavuot does not depend on the date of any particular month. It depends only when you finish counting 50 days. Nor mitten cheshbon from Sfira to Omer. Their 50th tag, the 50th day from Omer, is Shavuos, the holiday of Shavuos. And therefore, ha-taka amol, it can be in the time when they used to sanctify the month. Al-Pi-Ria, according to seeing, a little bit down, scroll down a little bit, please. Ria, as you can't oisfall, and it can occur that Shavuos might be not on the 6th day of Sivan, it could be on the 5th day of Sivan. Or it could be on the 7th day of Sivan. Other Bavav Sivan. I'm sorry, Bavav Sivan, it could be on the 5th, the 6th, or the 7th day of Sivan. Adi Sheikhus from Shavuos to Sfiras Omer made nit as the Etzem Yom Tov Shavuot wird aufgetan durch dem Sfira. It doesn't mean that the the holiday of Shavuot is caused by the Sfira, namely as the 49 Tag, that the 49 days Velchem and Sayed Bapur, which we actually count. Other men is Ze Mechuyev to Tzelen, but which we have an obligation to count. Ze Tuan Oif, don't think that they cause that the day afterwards will be a Yom Tov. Why? Varum Mizen, because we see Dach as Oich Di Vas haben nitem Chiyuv from Tzu Tzelen, those people that did not count, be Katanim, for instance, children, Vos Ze Zayin and Geven, B'nai Mitzvahs, which they are B'nai Mitzvahs, they come a bar mitzvah in the days of Sfira. Let's say a person, a child, he becomes 13 when in the middle of Sfira to Omer, somewhere in the month of Iyar. So he didn't start off counting. He hasn't counted 49 days. He hasn't counted 49 days. Here's another example, a Gerim. What about a convert? Was haben sich megayer gewen? He converted b'yamei Sfira. He finally made his conversion. He was working, learning for years, and finally they took him they made a bris milah, they circumcised him, took him to the mikveh, made a bris milah, and then they toiveled, and he now becomes a Jew. When does he become an official Jew? As soon as he gets out of the mikveh, that's he's a Jew. What if he gets out of the mikveh in the middle of Sfirat Omer, in the middle of these 49 days we're counting? And so he didn't do the mitzvah of counting 49 days. He only counted, let's say 10 days, however days are left. Is by Deraisa from the Torah, Yom Tov Shavuos, Be'ez is Kum Ter, Fuftzikar Tag. Whenever comes the 50th day from Tzelen Tag Pesach, from the counting the days since Pesach. But Od, see, is Faran Deos, there are some opinions, as Azoy is halacha, that's the law. As Bizman is it nowadays, is the mitzvah is from Sfirat Omer, blows the Rabbanan. Some people say that counting the Omer is only from the rabbis, because what was the Omer that we're counting from? The Omer was, what is that? A bunch, what do they call it? Seeds of barley that they brought into the base of Migdash, and they would make a special thing, they would offer it up on the altar, and now we don't have that. So some people say counting the Omer, there's no real Omer, so we're counting. So some people say it's not really from the Torah. As mitzad vos, I'm sorry, what this is. Oh, blows the Rabbanan. Yom Tov, the holiday of Shavuos. Everyone agrees that the holiday of Shavuos is from the Torah. As mitzad vos wird by ze geschaffen der Yom Tov Shavuos. These people who did not count all 49 days, a child that became bar mitzvah, or a convert that converted right in the middle of these days, they didn't count 49 days. If so, how according to them, they didn't count 7 complete weeks. So they can't do the holiday of Shavuos. Says no, vibalt as by ze. Is doch nit gewen der inyan from the memtes yomim sfira. If so, how can they have the holiday of Shavuot if they don't have what's called the 7 complete weeks? They didn't count 7 complete weeks. Men can nitzag, and we can't say as the sfira from Klal Yisrael. Maybe we can say, look at that all the Jews counted shaft by ze, it causes by them also the Yom Tov. We can't say that. Weil ze geyen noch and klal, because they go after all of the Jewish people, and so therefore everybody else does Shavuos. They should do it. We can't say that. Because mirgefinen nit azoy metzius as vi sviras Omer from Klal Yisrael, because there's no such thing as counting the Omer, general counting the Omer. Everybody has to count on their own. Vigaret free, like we said before, the whole mitzvah of counting the Omer is yeder yid. Every Jew has to count for him alone. So if so, what happens now? A child that he becomes bar mitzvah in the middle of counting the Omer, or a ger that converts in the middle of Sfiras Omer, what does he do? Is verstandig, it's understood, as the Yom Tov Shavuos wird nit geschaffen durch Sfira. So it must be that we have to say, therefore, And these people do the holiday of Shavuos, even though they didn't count all day. So we have to say that it wasn't really the counting that brought the holiday of Shavuot. Does that make sense? I mean, we just finished saying that the counting of 7 weeks, that's what determines when Shavuot is. And now we're saying a person that didn't do 7 weeks, because he either became bar mitzvah in the middle or converted in the middle, he also does Shavuot. So how does that work out? So it says, she is nor what. So if so, how do we explain it that these people do keep Shavuot? Was there zman from the Yom Tov, the time of the Yom Tov, had the Torah, der Zelber, whatever, Kovea, very good. The Torah, the Torah set as Yom HaChamishim LaOmer, thus says this means, as the Yom HaSvira Vesen blows on, the days that you're counting, they just indicate Zayin Nivrer, they just clarify them Zman from Shavuos when the holiday of Shavuos is. It doesn't bring, the counting doesn't cause the holiday of Shavuot. The counting just tells you when the holiday of Shavuot is for you. As their tug that this day was noch Zay is Yom Tov, with after it is Yom Tov, the 49th day is Yom Tov, the 49th day, the day after the 49th day is Yom Tov. When their Inyan from Yom is Sphira, if so, why do we have to count if that day is going to be automatic? Via an anweising, it's just a indication. When Birur, and it just clarifies, is Shaykh to Yedin Einer. This is relevant to every single one. In other words, wherever the place is that you are, you'll do the holiday of Shavuot in that day. That's what you'll do, the holiday of Shavuot. So you'll have to do the holiday of Shavuot. But the fact is that you won't, look, you'll see how the Rebbe answers it. Wenn steht in a tug, was oib volt gewen, mechuyev besvira, volt for them tug, angezählen 49 tug. If he is in a day, when according to him, he should be counting the 49th day. So even if he didn't count the beginning days, like a child that wasn't bar mitzvah until the middle, or a ger that was, and that converted just a few days before, if he's in a day that everyone else is counting for, what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? It's jumping all around. 1 second. I don't know what happened where this was. Okay, Ubamela. Then by him, when he finishes his 49 days of counting, free or other shpeta, whether it's earlier or later, v by under, whether it's earlier than the others or later than others, Zainen di yemei sfira was Zainen durchgegangen by him Mimor as darf praven hem Yom Tov Shavuos. That clarifies that he has to do his holiday of Shavuot. In dem tag, in that day, was kumt gleich nach seine yemei sfira. So in other words, I mean, it would be a little bit of a problem. Let's say this person, let's say he lived in Chicago, and then he was converting, doing the conversion, and then he got over to wherever it is, to China or some other place, where it went across the international date line. So now when does he start? He'll start counting, not according to where he was before he was Jewish, or now. So the Chiora, he starts according to wherever the place that he is right now, wherever he converted. What if afterwards he goes across the international date line back? It says it doesn't make any difference. He just goes according to where he started. When will he make the holiday of Shavuot for himself? According to his counting. That's where he'll make it. We can't say, as Chach legabi svira hat sich sein eigen cheshbon. We can't say that in Sfiras Omer he has his own counting. Zoler aber legabi shvuos noch gehen noch ein klal. He has to go after everybody else. Weil die einzige kavios und simen wenn es shvuos is because the only time we can say when Shavuot is, scroll down please a little bit, a little more, there, right, is as das is their 50 tag. This is the 50th day of the days of counting the Omer for him. An Inyan was hat gor nitzutan bin klad, has nothing to do with everybody else. Nor mit jeder yachid bezunder, only each and every person individually. Okay, so what's the Rebbe trying to say? The Rebbe is trying to say there's two issues over here. When the Torah was given, that nobody has any doubt. The Torah was given on the 6th day of Sivan, and that's when we say in our prayers, Zman Matan Toratenu. And that has nothing to do with the holiday of Shavuot. The holiday of Shavuot, it says in the Torah, you have to count 7 weeks, and the 50th day is the holiday of Shavuot. It doesn't say Zman Matan Toratenu, nothing. We have to make the holiday of Shavuot. That's one thing. And then when God gave the Torah, that's another thing. It happens to be that they can't be too much of a variation between them. God gave the Torah on the 6th day of Sivan. 6th day of Sivan, that was the mantra. And according to Sfirat Omer, the 50th day, well, that's the holiday of Shavuot. It can come out either on the 5th day of Sivan, 6th day of Sivan, or the 7th day of Sivan. That's when it can come out. Okay. Das Alts is Nogea Dem Yom Tov. This is only relevant to the holiday of Shavuos. The holiday of Shavuos is determined only by my counting. Was Zayin Zman, which is time, hat the Torah nit bestimmt, was the time of Shavuot. The Torah doesn't say in a Gevesen Tag which date of the year it is. The holiday of Shavuos is not connected to any date. It's not like Pesach and Rosh Hashanah. All these other holidays, it says a specific date. The holiday of Shavuos doesn't say any date. Nor is upgang, and it just depends in the 9 and 40 counting the 49 days of the Sfirat Omer. Which is not the case when you talk about the time when the Torah was given. We're saying in our prayers, Zman Matan Toratenu. Was das is verbunden. This is on the 6th day of Sivan. Everybody knows the Torah was given on the 6th day of Sivan. Kenis Galil. Like it says from Alton Rebbe, as chach as is pravit, take dem Yom Tov, even though that he did his day of Yom Tov, of Shavuot, freer mitatag, one day before, or shpeter mitatag, or one day after, vipalt aber as is nit shisha b'Sivan, it could be that it's not on the 6th day of Sivan, right? Like we said, if he goes across the international date line or in the time of the Beis Hamikdash when they used to go according to the moon. So it could be that the holiday of Shavuot, in other words, you're counting 49 days, can come out, 49 days can come out one day before the 6th day of Sivan or one day after the 6th day of Sivan, because the months would alter in their length. So you would go across the date line. If so, you would do the holiday of Shavuot. Let's say if you went across the international, you would do the holiday of Shavuot on either the 5th day of Sivan or the 7th day of Sivan. But when would you say in your prayer, Zman Matan Toratenu, from those days Kener Nit Zagen, he will do Shavuot, but he cannot say Zman Matan Toratenu. Because relevant to the days of the month, we don't find any difference when Rosh Chodesh is. Was is nit gegeben geworden zum Cheshbon Prati from Yeden Einen, the counting of the date. This is not dependent on each individual. The counting of the date, this is determined. We have a calendar, and the time of the Beis Hamikdash used to be according to the Beis Din. So that doesn't depend on my individual. The 6th day of Sivan is the 6th day of Sivan. That's when the Torah was given. It's not more. When is the holiday of Shavuot? It has nothing to do with the date. Holiday of Shavuot is a different thing. It doesn't say in the Torah the holiday of Shavuot is connected with the Torah. The holiday of Shavuot is connected to Sfirat Omer. Let's just go down for a little more. We'll do 3 more minutes. And from them, from all this, Kumtois comes out, what's the law? Be'ez anem, when a person, let's see, where is this? Yeah. Okay. Be'ez anem, when a person, oh, okay, we're almost finished. Be'ez Einam, when a person is Ibergefahren, he crosses the international date line, Oifen Veg, from Mariv to Mizrach, if he's going from the west to the east. What does it mean going from the west to the east? In other words, he's going like from let's say, he's going from Japan to America. That's going from west. No, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Going from the west to the east. He's going from America to Japan. If he's going from the west to the east, where is the international date line? It's in the middle of the Pacific, isn't it? No. International, where's the international date line? I think it's somewhere in the middle of the Pacific, isn't it? There was the Greenwich time. There's the Greenwich, goes through Greenwich. Where is the international date line? Whoa. Let's have a look. Just 1 minute. We will have a look in. Somebody looking it up?
It's a real thing? I thought it was a Bubameiser.
No. International date line. Here we go. International date line.
Here we go. It's on the screen.
Okay, where is it? There it is. Oh, there it is. See, right. It's in the middle of the Pacific somewhere, huh? Is that right?
Yeah. You go from Russia to Alaska.
Oh, good. Okay, so you're going from Russia to Alaska. That's called going from east to west. West to east. Right. You're going from west to east. Very good. Okay, you're going from Russia to Alaska. Okay, here we go. If a person is, let's see, where is it? I skipped the page. Here we are. I'm sorry. From them is all it's come down to rise. The Eis item is Ebergefen and the Chag Tarich Vegan, but from Mariv to Mizrach. You're going from west to east. So you're going from Russia to America. Is there fifth or tug? So therefore, the 50th day of Sivan Bayim will be the Fuftzika will be the 50th day of the Sfirat Omer. What do you call it? He lost a day. That was right. He lost a day. In the Sfirat Omer, he gets up to 50, but no, he gained the day. He's 50, but all of a sudden, it's only the 5th day of Sivan. 5th day of Sivan. That's Yom Tov Shavuos, the holiday of Shavuos. All of the laws, except for saying in the davening, Zman Ma'anchat Tarasenu. Can there nit zag and he can't say. So in other words, what's going to be? He's going to go from Russia. He started counting the Omer 49 days ago. He steps over into Alaska. All the Jews that are in Alaska, they're going to do Shavuos tomorrow. He has to do Shavuos today, on the 5th day of Sivan. He has to do. On Shisha b'Sivan is Bayim, Yom Tov Sheni, and Bayim, the 6th day of Sivan will be Yom Tov Sheni of Galus. Oiber is a ben Chutzlorf. If he comes from Chutzlorf, that's another law. Okay. But when Einer is Ebergefahren, and let's say a Jew, religious Jew, lives in Alaska, and there's a big congregation on the other side of the international date line, and they call him up and say, hey, we need a minyan over here. Can you come over? So he goes over the Tarich. Is what's going to happen to him? He's going to jump over a day. Is Tarich in, go on. In, where are we? Is this it? We're almost finished. Oh, in their 50th Richtung, that he's going to be on the 50th day from Mizrach to Marav, is Shvi b'Sivan. If so, he's going to be on the 7th day of Sivan. So if so, by them, they're calling him to participate in the minyan of Yom Sheni. They're on Yom Sheni of the holiday. It's the 7th day of Sivan for them, right? And they started Shavuos on the 6th day of Sivan. By him, it's going to be the holiday of Shavuos, the first day. It's going to be the 7th. Und Shmini b'Sivan is by him. Oiber is a ben chutz la'aretz. Yom Tov Sheni b'Galus. Okay, let's explain this according to what has this got to do with us? Very interesting. The beer derfun, it's just one more paragraph, huh? The beer derfun in the Sfiras Omer, the explanation is like this. So in other words, in a short way, don't go across the international date line in the days between Pesach and Shavuot. Don't do it. You want thinking about doing it? Don't do it. Because if you do, it's going to end up that however it goes, if you go across the international date line, that Shavuot, you're going to be celebrating Shavuot, you are going to be celebrating Shavuot in a different day than the people where you're living at. Either one day before, you'll do the holiday of Shavuot, or one day after. Because the holiday of Shavuot does not depend on the date. It only depends on your counting from the day you were after Pesach. When it comes to the 6th day of Sivan, though, then you'll have to say in your prayers, Man Matan Toratenu. But you won't say it in Tefillah of Chag. I guess it's Yom Sheni of Gala. So the Avodah from Sfiras Omer, what's this got to do with us? The Avodah of Sfiras Omer, can you scroll down a little bit? Is the work of Sfiras Omer is Birur Amidas. It's trying to fix up our personality. Was therefore Tzilin, that's why we count 49 days. 7 complete weeks, 7 times 7. So Mavor Zayin, the Ziban Midas to purify our 7 emotions. Was Yeder Mida, which each one of our emotions is Kolel, includes 7. And we can make from them, go a little bit down, please. Tamimim, making them complete. B'shas Yid Farendik, when a person finishes his service in purifying his personality, his character, all of his emotions, as Gitman in, then he gets a free gift from above, the Matan Torah. Was kumt nach the memtes, where this comes after your 49 days. That's what you're supposed to be doing. When you count the Omer, you're supposed to say this is Chesed Sheba Gevura, Gevura Sheba Chesed, Netzach Shebahod. You're supposed to sit down and think for a couple of minutes, what does this mean? What is Netzach Shebahod? What does it mean inside of me? Se'iz nit kovea for im voses tutzich mit ander. Fixing up your emotions, fixing up your personality, this is your personal job. You don't have to look around to see what other people are doing. That's counting the Omer. This is your personal thing, right? You go over what proves it. You go over into the national date line. The holiday of Shavuos depends only on your counting. Fixing up your personality. This is a personal thing that depends on you and you alone. Hot air far endict. So mavor zayin zamidas. A person finishes fixing up all of his personality. Then Gitmanim Galaich, immediately you get the 50th gate. Like we said before, Abraham served Hashem and God helped him from above. Same thing, we work on ourselves, stop being so much selfish, be a little more partners with God, then God gives you the Torah. Gifts from above. Chachas andere seinen noch derzu nit great. Even though that other people aren't ready for this, you did your work, you get the Torah. He has the holiday of Shavuos, even though other people don't get it. It's darfer noch warten, so therefore another person has to wait until he finishes purifying his emotions. Namely, you can be in a place where everybody is still on day number 48 and you reach 49. The next day for you is the holiday of Shavuot, but the other people, they haven't finished yet. Chach era is under bekumen the Torah. It could be the other way around. Okay, let's just go back to the top of the page. Das is aber nor negea dem tile from Matan Torah was kum noch de avodas adam. This is the part of the giving of the Torah, the holiday of Shavuos, which depends on us. But the idea that the Torah was actually given is nit verbunden, which is not connected to our service, namely the 6th day of Sivan. That's an automatic gift that God gives to everybody, whether you worked or didn't work. Is legamri hech. This is totally higher than them. Was in them is nit nogea dein avoda birur amidos. This doesn't depend on your work. Hat zich zayin zman. This is for everybody equal. The 6th day of Sivan. So what's the whole point? Here we're religious people. We're sitting here. We're learning Torah. We figure we're doing our work. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We're going to be the ones that are bringing the geula. Says the Rebbe. Don't get so excited. You have to do your work. True. You have to do your personal work. Yes. And the holiday of Shavuot depends on the work that you do. But the giving of the Torah This is a gift that God gives to everybody equally. So a person would say, good, if I get it equally automatically, so what do I have to work for? Or the other way around. If I have to do all the work, then why is God giving it to everybody automatically? He should only give to people that work. So the Rebbe says, that's the way that Hashem wants things to be. The future redemption is going to come by Hashem. Hashem is going to do it. And it depends on our work. But don't think that if it's not our work, it's not going to happen. No, it could be those people that all of a sudden one day they just wake up and they say, wow, I want the Torah, I want to be. Those people are going to be the one, everyone is going to receive the future redemption. It's just upon us, we have to do both things together. We have to work on ourselves individually, not looking at anybody else to fix ourselves up. But on the other hand, we can be sure that Hashem is going to give the Torah equally to everybody. And that's this Sicha. Tomorrow we'll also learn a Sicha also, and have to look for, I know what we're going to learn. Tomorrow we're going to learn about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. There is a Sicha here, and I guess we're learning in Yiddish. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, you learn Yiddish also, good. If you want to, we can also learn Gemara. You can learn Yiddish and Hebrew and Aramaic. And you'll learn
If you want to send me a picture of the cover of the book and the Sicha in Hebrew, I'll try to find it.
Okay, so 1 second. I'll do it right now. 1 second. Don't leave. Oh, you want me to send you a picture?
Yeah, just send me on WhatsApp a picture of the cover of the book and the first page of the Sicha. I'll try to find it in Hebrew. See if
Will do. I'll do it right now. This, by the way, is the book here, but I'll send it to you. This is the book, and this is the page. But I'm going to take a picture of it right now. Have a good day, everyone. God bless you.
Wait. Also, at some point, can we have a class or two about Pesach Sheni?
Do you know the story?
Okay. Oh, story. Wow, I almost forgot the story. Wow, thanks for reminding me. Okay, I will tell a story right now. Pesach Sheni is not very much you have to know because there's really no laws of Pesach Sheni. There's no laws. You just don't say Tachnun. Except for that, there's no laws. Even though we learned a beautiful Sicha about Pesach Sheni, there was a Dilug Sheni we learned in Midas Yesod, remember? The 3 things we have to learn about the...
Maybe something, well, maybe not the laws, but the inner...
Okay, good. I'll go over, I'll say outside, it'll take 5 minutes. I'll do it tomorrow. The inner meaning of Pesach Sheni. We learned the Mimor on it. I'll just go over the points of the Mimor. Very good. Okay. And what do we say? And I'm going to take a picture of this and I will send it to you. And God willing, it seems that I'm going to be in Miron for Pesach Sheni. We will continue the classes just regularly. I'm going to take my computer with me so it'll be good pictures and everything. But it seems that they're allowing people to go to the city of Miron, and I have a son that lives there in Miron. So he lives there, so I can be there. All right. A story. Okay, here's a story. Let's see, what's the story over here? Okay. This is a story about I think it's Rabbi Yisrael of Ropshitz, I think. So once a carriage draws up to there was Rabbi Yisrael of Ropshitz. I think he was a very holy man, and people used to come to him from all over the place to get blessings and advice. As one day there pulls up this big, huge carriage in front of his house. I'm sorry. That was the end of the story. Here we go. One day comes to his house, to his home. This poor lady, she's her clothes are all dirty, like she's been traveling a long time. She has an old suitcase, and she says, "Can I speak to the Rebbe?" So the Rebbe's wife comes to her, says, "Who are you?" She says, "I'm a family of the Rebbe. Remember, your daughter, your sister, your this, or that." She's like a third cousin or something like that. Says, "I need help. My daughter's about to get married, and she's ill. And the fact is, I'm also not very healthy. And, who's going to get married to my daughter? She hasn't got any, she's not healthy, and she this, and I also, I need money for I've tried to do it without it. I can't work. I can't get any jobs. Can the Rebbe please help me?" So she said, "Okay." She said, I'll arrange for you and sit down and drink a cup of tea. I'll arrange for you an audience with the Rebbe. Sure enough, she goes into the Rebbe. She tells the Rebbe the problems. She says, "Rebbe, I need 5,000 rubles. So the Rebbe looks up at her and says, 5,000 rubles, what you need is kadachas. Now, kadachas means like high fever. High fever, kadachas, a person would shake, it was kodeach b'chom, it says high fever. So she looks at the Rebbe, kadach, what? Says, that's what you need, kadachas. That's like a curse. You know, telling a person you should be sick, you should get a disease. So she looks at the Rebbe, she starts crying. Rebbe, she can't. She's got so much troubles as it is. And the Rebbe just cursed her. She said she should have a high fever. So she goes outside. The Rebbe's wife is waiting out there. Says, what's wrong? She said, oh, the Rebbe, she can't even talk. So the Rebbe's wife says, listen, just calm down. Here, have something to eat. I'll give you a bed, sleep for a while, and rest up, and I'll talk to my husband about this. So it ends up that her husband was very, very busy. And this lady, she washes up and she can't rest. She comes, sits down. She's eating drinking another cup of tea. All of a sudden, the Rebbe comes out from his room, and he looks at her, this lady, and she looks up at him like she doesn't know what to say. You know, Rebbe, why did you curse me? And he said, that's right. What you need is kadachas. His wife hears this. It's kadachas. How could you say a thing like that to the lady? The lady, she's already getting used to it. You know, she's getting all these curses. So she cries, but not as much as the first time. And so the Rebbe's wife calms her down and says, listen, there's probably something deeper inside of this. Please don't. She's crying and weeping and crying. She doesn't know what to do. Who is she going to turn to? The Rebbe was her last hope. Now the Rebbe cursed her. So the Rebbe's wife says to this lady, this poor lady, listen, I'll find you a room and you'll rest up and we'll wait. We'll see what's going to happen. People are coming in to see the Rebbe from all over. One day, this big carriage stops in front of the Rebbe's house. And there comes out a servant. And the driver also ties up the horses. And he also gets out and he opens up the door. And he gets this sort of wheelchair. And the servant helps this old lady comes out. She's all bent over and she's all shaking and sits her down in this wheelchair or whatever and goes up to one of the Hasidim and says, tell me, this is the Rebbe of Ropshitz? Yes. Does he see Gentiles also? I think so. I don't think there's any. Wait, I'll ask. So he goes and he asks, this Hasid goes and asks the Rebbe's secretary. The Rebbe asks, secretary asked the Rebbe. The Rebbe said, yeah. She can come in and see me. So they wheel her in to the Rebbe, and she's just sitting there, and she's all shaking. And she says, Rebbe, I've tried everything. I've given money to doctors. I've given money to all sorts of people, and nothing has helped. I don't know what to do. I'm so sick. I just, all the time, I have this, sometimes cold, sometimes hot. My whole body is shaking. It's hard for me to breathe. My life is just not life. I used to be a healthy woman. I used to walk around, look at me now. And so the Rebbe said, well, what type of a disease do you have? What's wrong? Did you ever go to the doctor? So, oh, yes, I did. Here's my doctor's reports. Here, the Rebbe says over here, the disease, what is the disease? It's called kadachat. The Rebbe says, oh, kadachas, that's what you've got, kadachas. She says, yes, I do. The Rebbe said, okay, if you want to be healed, it'll cost you 5,000 rubles. She said, Rebbe, if you heal me, I'll give you 10,000. So the Rebbe said, just one moment. He puts his head down. He goes over to the window, opens up the window, looks outside, sits back down and says to the lady, how do you feel now? She said, I don't know if there's any change. He said, go to the window and see. I can't get up. Try. She gets up. She says, well, I feel good. I feel healthy. This is amazing. I feel all right. And she starts dancing. She's so happy. Here's 10,000 rubles. She leaves. She's been cured of kadachas. The Rebbe calls his wife in. He says, tell that lady to come in. The lady that was my relative comes in. He says, here, for your daughter's wedding, 10,000 rubles. I said, oh, thank you, Rebbe. He says, see, that's what I meant. What you needed was kadachat. Kadachat. That he was referring to the kadachat of this old lady that came in. That's what you need is kadachat. So it comes to show us that even though things might seem to be bad and appear to be bad, but really it's the biggest blessing of all for all of us. Okay, now what do? I I copy all this and I send it to you, right?
Well, you'll
I get
close
it.
the
Okay.
program
Yeah.
and
Like
you'll
usual.
see the videos and upload it. You're gonna upload it to YouTube. You'll
Like I
send me a
always do.
link
Like I always do.
wherever you sent it. Send me a link and then I'll find it. I'll download it and I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Hello.
Rov. See you later.
Toda.
3 o'clock, please. Everyone be. What time is it? 3 o'clock. Don't be late. Okay? We're learning Chumash, we're learning Pirkei Avos, and we're learning Basar V'Chalav. Shalom.